Okay, so again, I want to show you these 4 free response problems. Again, there's 8 on the test. They're going to be similar to these 8. Okay, so these first one here, it says show all algebraic steps. First thing I would do, I would take that to PolySci and I would plug it in. You're going to see it's a decimal. It's a ugly decimal, so you're going to want to go to the quadratic formula. So remember, on this test, you have to write down what A is, what B is, and what C is, or they will not give you a point for that. So remember that. Then they give you a point for plugging in. So opposite of B, plus or minus, square root of B, B squared, which is 4, minus 4 times A times C, all over 2 times 4. So you got to show all of that, remember. So 1 point, 1 point. And then if I were you, I would figure out this inside here in the calculator. So you're going to get -2 plus or minus square root of 20 over 8. So that's going to be another point, okay, getting that far. But then you got to break down the square root of 20. So when you break down the square root of 20, you get 2 root 5. And then you got to reduce, remember, all 3 parts. So -2 divided by 2, 2 divided by 2, I'm just going to leave it as root 5. I'm not going to put the 1 in front. And 8 divided by 2 is 4. And so there's your final part of the answer. Okay? All right, number 2, multiplying. This one I think is pretty good. They want to see all these, all expanded out, which you're going to have to do anyway. So I'm just going to distribute the x squared first. Then I'm going to distribute the -3x. So I take -3x times each of these. So -3x squared minus 12x. Then I'm going to take the 5 times everything. So 5x plus 20. So that right there is 1 point, getting all of that. And then you're just going to combine like terms. There isn't much more to it after you do that. So you're going to get x cubed plus x squared minus 7x plus 20. Okay, so then you just combine your like terms. Be very careful on that. You're going to think it's real quick and easy, and then you're going to screw up on combining like terms. So just be careful on that. Number 3. So number 3 is going to be a long one. 3 is going to be a long one, and you have to check your solutions. So remember, to undo the radical, you have to square. If you have to show those steps right there. That's a point for squaring both sides. So we're going to get x plus 18. Remember, you have to write out that twice and FOIL. It is not x squared plus 4. So you FOIL it all out, and this is what you get. That's going to be another point. You got to get that far. Then you're going to want to get it all equal to 0. So once you get it equal to 0, you're going to get this. Don't forget, you have to write equals 0 in order to get those points. All I did was subtract over the x and subtract over the 18. Okay, then you can factor and you can solve. So that factors to this. So you get 7 and -2. And then remember, you have to check your answers. This is the one that's going to have one that doesn't work. Most of the time it's going to be the negative, but not for sure. So you just want to plug it in. So you're going to check. You're going to get the square root of 7 plus 18. Does that equal 7 minus 2? Yes, it does. Then we do the other one. -2 plus 18. Does that equal -2 minus -2? So this ends up to be 4, because it's the square root of 16, and this is -4. That is not true. So remember, you have to come over and cross out that -2. Don't just ignore the -2 and not write it. You have to write it and then cross it out. So remember that. Keep that in the back of your mind. All right, number 8. So find the coordinates of the vertex. X equals opposite of B over 2A. Writing that gets you a point. Or you could just go straight to opposite of B over 2 times 1. If you wrote just this, you would get a point for that. So that's negative 4. And then remember, you go negative 4 comma something. I would use the stow button, stow negative 4 in, and then type in this whole equation. You don't need the f of x, just type in the other part. Because it's an ugly answer, you're going to get negative 23 over 3. So that's the vertex. The domain, remember, is all real numbers. So it's negative infinity to positive infinity. And the range, so think about this parabola is opening up. So the range is from the y value of the vertex to positive infinity. So it's the y value of the vertex, which is included, to positive infinity. Okay, and it's going to kind of be the same way unless it opens down. Number 1, you're doing the quadratic formula. You're going to get a negative under the radical, so remember that's going to be the imaginary. You can do poli-sci mult, but it's not going to help you much because it's going to give you decimals. Okay, so you're just going to have to straight out do the Pythagorean theorem on that one. Number 2, you're foiling, so take the 8 and distribute. Take the root x and distribute. Keep in mind that when you take root x times root x, you're just going to get 4x for that term. Okay, so should I do it real quick? I suppose. 8 and 3 is the 24. 8 here, I'm multiplying outside with outside, inside with inside. Now I'm going to distribute the root x. So root x, so that's, 3 times root x. And then root x times negative 4 root x is going to be minus 4x. And then you can combine the like terms and get the answer on that. Okay. Number 3, it's essentially you're just factoring. Look for the greatest common factor first. Look to factor and see what you can cancel. Do not just start canceling the 3 with the 12 or something like that. You got to factor. Whoops, I just wrote. It's going to be 3. And then you can reduce. Number 4, remember the bottom number here is the index, so it's the 4th root of 7. You can put the cubed here, or it could be 4th root of 7 cubed. You just kind of have to look at the choices and see which is which. Inverse. Inverse. So remember, this is the first. That's what it is. I switch the x and the y, and then I solve for y. So switch x and y, solve for y. So I subtract over the 125. I take the cubed root to undo it, and there's what I get. Okay, and then the notation, remember, for inverse, you might see it'll say this equals cubed root of x minus 125. Okay, just so you know, that's the notation for inverse. Simplify as much as possible. So this is all going to stay the same, but you're going to go minus, write this out twice, because that'll be 4x plus 4. You have to distribute this negative 1 and then combine it with this. All right, just so you know. Number 7, when are they undefined? Only when the bottom equals 0. So only at x equal to 0. We don't care about the top. Don't even care about that. Number 8, remember when you divide, you're going to multiply by the reciprocal. So over here, I would first just factor, and then I'm going to multiply by, this is coming to the top, so I can take out the 2, and then you can reduce and cancel on that. Number 9, which is not a function, which one essentially it's saying does not pass the vertical line test. So the only one that's not going to pass the vertical line test is over here. So E is the answer. That is not a function. Number 10, it says it has a positive value for A. That tells you it opens up. So we can eliminate all the ones that open down. So these are eliminated. I'm going to come back up here. I don't want to cross this out because that is the answer. It's the one that doesn't pass. And then it says a positive value for b squared minus 4ac. That means if you did the quadratic formula, you'd have a positive number under here. That means you're going to get 2 real solutions. So your graph has to hit the x intercept or axis twice. So this is the only one that can be a solution. This would be if b squared minus 4ac was less than 0 or negative. And this would be if b squared minus 4ac equals 0. Okay. And this last one, which of the following is equal to? Again, you're just doing synthetic division. Set this equal to 0. I have the 2 out front. Now I do the coefficients. 1, 12, 20, negative 96. Start with bringing down the 1. Multiply. Add. Multiply. Add. Multiply. And there's your remainder. So I think it's just going to be no remainder on that. Okay. All right. Good luck. Email me if you have any questions or any concerns.